Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and thank you very much for joining. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. We just got a big ol' snow here in Colorado last night, so the ground is totally covered, and so it's a perfect time to do a nice little indoor video. Also, for any of you who've been watching this channel throughout this off season, a little over a month ago, one of the entries to one of the weekly giveaways was to submit an AMA question, and I said that I would put those together a little bit later. So here's that video. Thank you to everybody who submitted a question. I've picked out 10 questions that were either kind of some of my favorites or just some of the most popular, most commonly asked questions. And so I'll go through those 10, and then after that, I'll do kind of a speed round of another 10. So around 20 questions total, and then I'll also announce what was my favorite question. Several weeks ago, I indicated that there would be a random person drawn out of the list of people who submitted any question, but I also said that I was gonna pick out my favorite question and send a prize to them. So I'll be announcing that towards the end of the video as well. On top of all of that, I'm also sick. So as you can see, I'm sitting here in bed, haven't shaved in a couple days, so I've got that genuine ill look about me. And that's actually kind of a perfect segue into this first question. A lot of people asked some variation of this question: what do you do with all of your free time? I get asked this a lot, and it's kind of funny because I hardly know what free time is. I personally am a very routine-oriented kind of person, and so I've built a lot of routines on purpose to kind of integrate into every day, mostly to keep me healthy. And when I say healthy, I mean physically, relationally, emotionally, spiritually, just healthy on all sides. And so these routines are intentionally put into place to kind of take care of myself as well as kind of my family, people that I care about, and so on. And I also think that the reason I got sick in the last day or two is just from stress. And so that kind of really drives the point home that I've got just all kinds of things that I care about, all kinds of things I'm passionate about. And so I think sometimes it takes me getting sick to actually take a break. So probably all for my own good. I actually have more free time during the season than I do during the off season. The second question is from Juan Hernandez. Juan asks, what made you choose the Gator 3 as your Tour Series disc? First and foremost, the Gator 3 is the most comfortable disc in my hand ever. It's my favorite mold ever. The moment that thing hit my hand, I'm like, this is a special disc. It has amazing flight characteristics to match. I think one of the big things is just when I was kind of first getting into disc golf, people would look for these specific kinds of Gators where they were flat and overstable. There was a run several years ago that was kind of the ring of Gators. It had that ring stamp, and those were the ones that everybody looked for. And so basically the Gator 3, when they started producing those, it was kind of a stock run of the version of Gator that everyone used to have to work hard to get their hands on. So that's what the Gator 3 is to me. It just flies amazing. It feels amazing. I carry 3 with me at all times. It's an amazing roller disc. It's just so good. It's definitely my most used disc ever. So the Gator 3 is awesome. It is truly a signature disc for me. Question number 3 was also a question that was kind of asked by several people, some variation of, when you're having a bad round, how do you turn things around? I think the most simple answer to this is I don't. If I knew the answer to that question, I would play well all the time. I think the big key here is that I do my very best to treat every shot as its own individual challenge. I know you've all probably heard that before. Each shot that I step into is a brand new shot. It's the start of a brand new story. And so I don't really turn things around, because that means that they were going in the wrong direction in the first place. But in my mind, each shot is a brand new challenge. I just would love to have more control over what's going on, but there's just only so much that's in your control. And so I just do my best on every shot, And so sometimes that ends up being that things turn around, and other times it's just not happening. All you can do is do your best every shot. Question number 4 is another one that I've been asked several times throughout the years. It's a pretty popular one. Do you change your bag when you change elevation or from one tournament to the next? The answer to both questions is no. Being from Colorado, people think that it might be really tough to go from one elevation to the next. I think what ends up happening is I just end up reaching for certain discs more often at different elevations. I don't actually necessarily remove them from my bag or whatever. I want to have all the options all the time because you never know what situation you're going to run into. But for all intents and purposes, I do not really change my bag from one tournament to the next. Sometimes, yes, there will be discs that come in and out. Sometimes a disc gets too beat up and it starts disappointing me, and so I'll cycle in a new one or whatever. There's also, for example, at a certain course, if I show up and I'm using a certain kind of disc, let's say I just throw the Chariot a lot at this specific course, I might put an extra 1 or 2 in for practice rounds to be able to get more reps throughout the week. But then at the end of the week, I might just, take 1 or 2 back out, kind of reset the bag and move on to the next tournament from there. Question 5 was also asked by multiple people. Where do you get all your unique apparel? So this past year, I was sponsored by Zone Sporting Goods. So shout out to Zone. They made all the awesome, kind of like the strawberry shirt, the lemon shirt, the watermelons, all that good stuff. I will put a link in the description where you can find all this stuff. Check out my website. That's where you can find all things Joel Freeman related. There's also another company that I'll give a little shout out. They're called Hreski, H-R-E-S-K-I, and they have some just like super fun, loud, just like wacky, crazy golf apparel. The next question is from Chris Crowder. Chris asks, is it harder for you to keep a level head through a terrible round or stay motivated during the off season to keep practicing? Definitely the one. I think I have a reputation, unfortunately, of not being able to keep a very level head. I think it's less that I'm really like that upset or angry or whatever, and more just my personality is outward processor. I'm an outward processor, I'm a verbal processor, and I'm just overly loud and expressive sometimes. But nonetheless, it is tough to keep a level head. It is not tough for me to stay motivated during the off season. I just, I don't know. I think that's another part of my personality. I know the purpose behind everything I'm doing, and so I just keep on doing it. Question number 8 was another popular one. A lot of people asked some version of this question. How do you stay focused during competition? I think practice. I think mental discipline. There are all kinds of little tips and ways that you can increase your mental discipline. I also think it has to do with just being healthy, just like eating a healthy diet, being in healthy relationships, all kinds of things. I think it comes all the way back to, my parents and when I was born and how I was raised. I don't know. The answer to this question goes on and on and on. Some people talked a lot about how, I get distracted during a particular shot. And to that, I would say, take deep breaths. Try not to let your thoughts run wild. And then the last thing I would say is just try to keep a short routine. My routine has fluctuated. Some days it's a little bit longer, some days it's a little bit shorter, but in general, I recommend and I strive to have a pretty short routine. That way you're not giving yourself time to become as distracted or to start doubting yourself or whatever. So in general, I think a short routine is a pretty smart idea. And speaking of routines, several people asked some version of this question. Do you have a workout routine, specific diet, or a pre-tournament routine? The answer to all of these is kind of yes and no at the same time. I do have specific foods that I eat and specific foods that I stay away from. I do have somewhat of a workout routine, but it's kind of all there just in an attempt to live a healthy lifestyle. I think whether I was a disc golfer or not, I think my whole life, regardless of where my career goes or whatever, I will attempt to continue to generally do a lot of the things that I do now just because I'm trying to stay healthy. It's not necessarily targeted towards my performance or to enhance my abilities as a player or whatever. It's just trying to be as healthy as I can, regardless of where my life takes me. Jay Jensen asks, are there other Christians on tour that you regularly have fellowship with and worship with? Do you try and find churches to go to while you're on tour? I know other professional sports have team chaplains. Is there anything like that for touring pros? So, yeah, there's a decent community of Christians out on tour. We do definitely meet like a minimum of once a week just to hang out and do fellowship together. As far as finding churches to visit while on the road, that's a very dicey situation. One, we're usually playing on Sunday, but two, it can be kind of sketchy to just walk in on a random church. You have no idea what you're getting into, and a lot of churches are kind of doing things that I'm not really in agreement with or on board with. And so that can be a pretty vulnerable situation. Having said that, kind of in addressing the last part of the question, there's an organization called Eagles Wings, and my wife and I are on staff with Eagles Wings, and we put on kind of these meetings, like you could think of them like a church service where we all get together, we sing a little bit, we'll do a little teaching and whatever. And so that's kind of our tour church, if you will. Before I move on to the speed questions, I decided to throw this last one in there because I get asked this a lot as well. Who is on your dream card? First guy has to be James Conrad. James is such a great dude. He's a fantastic combination of just a fun personality. I really enjoy talking to James, being around James in general. But he also just loves disc golf so much. He gets so excited when you throw a cool shot. It's really fun to just kind of like enjoy each other's shots with James. He makes it a really fun experience. Next up is Eagle McMahon. Eagle and I are good friends. He's also one of my favorite players to watch. Who doesn't enjoy watching Eagle play just because of the raw talent that he brings? He and I have kind of a couple similar personality traits, just kind of in the way that our brain works, the way we practice, and we're both kind of like hard workers. We care a lot about our health, and so Eagle and I just like have a handful of things in common. Just enjoy playing with Eagle. He's very kind and very authentic as well. Speaking of kind and authentic, the last person on my dream card would be Chris Clemens. Chris and I are also very good friends. And so, of course, I'm biased towards all these guys. I really enjoy being around all of them. But Chris has just this like calming and just very supportive demeanor about him. I really enjoy the conversations that spark up between Chris and I. He's never afraid to just come over and talk no matter what's going on in the middle of the round. He'll just come over and strike up a conversation. And so Chris is just enjoyable to be around. There's a long list of people who I really enjoy playing with. I wish my dream card could be 10 people, but had to narrow it down to 3. All right, speed question time, and then I will announce and answer my favorite question. What do you think is the best course on tour? Maple Hill. What is your favorite course to play on tour? North Boundary. What is your favorite non-DGPT/elite event to play? Vintage Open in Arkansas or a local event here in Colorado called Lunacy? What's a disc that you love up here at altitude that gets very little use on tour when you play at lower altitudes? I would say the Pharaoh or my flippiest Destroyer, those high-speed understable ones. Do you think there is disc golf in heaven? No way. It would be way too boring. We'd all just pure everything. It would get stale very fast. What is your favorite movie? It's got to be Princess Bride, but I will give 2 honorable mentions: Secondhand Lions and Stranger Than Fiction. If you were a pro in something other than disc golf, what would that be? I think breakdancing or some kind of hip-hop dance crew or something like that. What was your very first job? It was called Dairy Delight. It's kind of like an off-brand Dairy Queen. Do you find it grounding for your wife to be on the bag for you? Absolutely. I find it to be grounding anytime she's around me or involved in any little part of my life. Absolutely, yes. What do you feel is the hardest part of disc golf to master, and do you think other pros would agree with you? Forehanding putters, and yes. And to close out the grand finale, the winner of the giveaway for asking my favorite question is Micah Warning. And Micah asks, when it comes to disc golf, what is your why? What makes you love this sport and continue to do it? This is a super easy answer for me. It's a two-part answer. One is just for the future of my wife and my future children. Everything that I do, all the work that I put in, has everything to do with my family. I work hard, I do the best that I can at my job for their sake, in hopes that I'm going to be investing in their future. Making money will allow me to buy them a home, allow me to provide for them in the future. You get the point. Part two is for God. There's nothing that I do in my life or that I set out to achieve in my life that is apart from Him. Everything, it all boils down to Him. He's the center of everything that I do and the motivation behind everything that I strive to be. This definitely does not mean that I am perfect. I do not get it right all the time. In fact, I screw it up all the time. But I at least strive to make Him the center of everything in my entire life, all the time, no matter what. And so between God and my family, it's very easy for me personally to stay entirely motivated, to keep working towards what I'm trying to do and keep working towards becoming the best, just because I have a very clear sense of purpose behind everything that I'm doing here. And that about does it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have not drawn this week's giveaway winner yet, and so I'll pass it on to my future self to tell you all about the giveaway.
All right, it's a day later, I'm feeling better, but I still got some excess fluids lingering. This video is getting way too long, so I'll make this part quick. Thank you so much for everyone who participated in this last giveaway. This week's winner is David Taylor Jr. So congratulations, David. You'll be hearing from me soon. In order to enter this next giveaway, you got to come up with an answer to this joke/riddle I came up with. What do you call it when a disc golfer gets stressed out by good course design? If nobody gets it right, I'll just choose a random winner. If multiple people get it right, then the first person who commented will win. I wish you all the best of luck. I really appreciate all of you watching. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Joel Freeman, you're watching Wholehearted, and we will see you next time.